The November ballot will see 10 candidates running for the 3 seats available on the Edison Board of Education. My guests today are the candidates contesting from column 4 and running on the Student Teachers First ticket. It's my pleasure to welcome to ITV Gold Studio Minesh Patel and Yash Pandya. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am, for having us here.
Pleasure. So, Yash, explain Student Teachers First mission statement or your tagline to our audience.
So, thank you, Nidhi. Thank you, ITV Gold, for having us here today. The slogan is very straightforward. There's no hidden promises. There's no hidden facts. It is what it is. It's keeping our students and teachers first. Edison Board of Education primary focus is for the well-being, the prosperity, and the success of its students, and utilizing taxpayer money to the best way possible for our students and making sure that they have the best resources, one of them being the most important one, which is our teachers, right? Mm-hmm. So our focus is bringing the focus and attention to our students and teachers first.
Mm-hmm. Great. Minesh, you hold an engineering and business management degree and you're a business and director of operations at Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. If elected, what would you bring to the table that will reflect your educational and professional acumen?
Well, at Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, I'm a director there of operations. Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan itself is an educational institution. Mm-hmm. Here we teach music only and art. Back home, there are a huge 168 outlets all over the India. Mm-hmm. Here, one of the things I would like to bring is, over the years, my experience as a businessman. Mm-hmm. I used to run a $70 million company of gasoline products in Nashville, Tennessee. I also own convenience stores throughout New York, New Jersey. And that experience I have. One, management. Two, I worked with more than 200 plus employees when I was in Nashville and how to deal with it, all walks of life. So that's the second part. Students is always in my heart. So that's where I work. Social work since 1977. Wow. I'm involved in social work. And even today, that's all I do first. Get up in the morning, first thing is, what's today's agenda? So that is going to help. One of the things I did over the last few years is join Band Parents Association of J.P. Stevens High School. Mm-hmm. And over the years, I learned that they need money. They were not allocated money for the last 10 years for the music. Oh. And the instruments was falling apart. They were using money either from band parents, collections of funds, or whatever they got from the township, which was a very nominal amount, but they were fixing the equipment for the students to operate. And that is wrong. That needs to be fixed too.
Okay. Yash, you believe that the best advice ever shared with you was, be the change that you wish to see in the world, as said by Mahatma Gandhi. As a follow-up to your favorite quote, talk about the changes that you wish to see in the Edison schools. What would you say is the biggest issue facing the school district currently? How do you plan to tackle it?
So, be the change that you wish to see in the world is a very important quote and is relevant to me in this year's Board of Education election, because in order to truly understand the day-to-day issues that are faced by students and even teachers to some degree, is being a student or having been once a student, part of the public school system, which I was. I went to elementary school here, went to middle school, middle school and elementary, both in public schools of Edison. And fortunately, because of the education that I received in Edison Township Public Schools, I had an opportunity to attend a STEM vocational high school, Middlesex County Academy, which is ranked #1 in the state of New Jersey as a high school, public high school, and is also in Edison. So all of these advantages that I received through education brought me to where I am today. And I want to take that knowledge and essentially give back by being in a position where you can actually make a change. And being that I was a student, I feel that I can connect more and I can understand more to the students on a day-to-day basis what they face when it comes to these issues we talk about at the table. When it comes to overcrowding, what does overcrowding encompass, right? people can't understand or imagine sometimes that students cannot even go from one classroom to the other because many of them have not been in that position, right? But I have. I used to be part of it, and I was part of it when the overcrowding issue was starting. And similar to that, there's a lot of other top issues as well. Overcrowding being the biggest one.
Share some of your experiences of when you experienced overcrowding. What happened to you personally?
So personally, overcrowding was a topic that was just starting at that point. Schools, my middle school, my elementary school was always packed to the brim, right? And as we know, population in Edison has been increasing ever since. So what's starting to happen now is that a lot of students don't have lockers. People cannot pass through between classes with enough time. There's a certain amount of time that you have to go from class 1 to class 2, right? If you don't get there in that time, there's policies in certain classes that you can get penalized for being late, right? And there's things like that. In terms of overcrowding, there's also a lot of issues with resources, right? Minesh was just saying that there's been band funding that's not been getting followed through. Similar to that, there's a lot of curriculum cuts, right? Because of overcrowding, we are diverting some of the funds that should be going to everyone into overcrowding. But one issue
what is your solution to overcrowding?
So the solution to overcrowding is, first we need to understand why the issue is happening, right? The issue is happening because of a large population increase, right? Part of that is not in our control, but the part that is in our control is to making sure that we do resident verification, which is ensuring that the students who actually go to the public schools here in Edison are actual residents of Edison Township. And they are also related or staying in an Edison home, right? There's a proper verification process that needs to be done. The second piece of it is the funds, the budget, right? BOE has a large budget, over $300 million. How are we using that, right? There's many different things that we need to tap into, like a 2% cap money that we can utilize, funding that we can additionally pull in, and partnerships that we need to do in the community to raise further funds for the Board of Ed. So these are just some two things we can use to tackle overcrowding.
Minesh, transportation is still one of the sore issues that has not been resolved or corrected for some of the schools in Edison. It's been 2 years. What's going on?
Let's say not few schools, it's all school has issues. What they are doing is not bringing a right person. Somebody came in, 3 months later quit. If one person is handling, you need a backup. We have even suggested a few times in the meetings, you need help, ask the parents. There are a few people who has worked this way and they could support the system that we have. There are volunteers who love to support our Board of Ed, but they don't ask. Number two is they only have one person answerable. Well, fine, but you have to pick up the phone. You have to answer the tickets. 72 hours to 96 hours ticket line is too long of a time. They need to hire enough. They wanted to move from the contracts to our own buses. Then you need to hire enough drivers way ahead of time. They're doing it as they need. It's not going to work. If they knew you have 17,000 kids, out of that, how many is going to use the buses? And do the routes correctly. Over the years, we have seen it. Same route has 3 buses going on the same route, and then they take the turns. Well, they could have chosen another route where you could cover that, and the bus comes back on timely fashion. They have not done that. Even right now, they always keep saying we're doing it, but nothing has been done. They need to do the contracts quicker and get it done quicker. That's the first thing. You tell parents, see, parents are very easy to work with.
Right.
If you tell them what the problem is. If you do not tell them, they're going to keep complaining. Tell them what the problem is, and they will help you solve it sometime, you know. But they keep on using the same old formula. We are in IT world, but we're still doing the paperwork. That needs to be corrected. Your admissions, the same way. If you do it admission early through IT, you will know that you have a kid coming in 2 miles away from. So you could also always backlog it to the next bus.
So are you saying they're not technology savvy? They are not using the right apps, or
At this
what
time,
is
they are
that?
not, ma'am. They are at this time. We're still in old age.
Oh,
We haven't
okay.
got into new age yet. The new age could solve some of our problems of residence checks, transportations, okay, including some of the funding issues. Because if it's not done correctly, we can report to the county or the state to get enough funds.
So I think
Okay.
on top of what Minesh said, with transportation, right now there's no department that exists for transportation. There used to be a committee that was cut out. So Board of Education has multiple committees: curriculum committee, community performance committees, a lot of the different committees that target high volume areas per se. Similar to that, transportation was one of them that was cut out. And currently there's no department in administration that manages transportation. So it's essentially the same person who may be doing community performance is also doing transportation, right? I think an entire infrastructure team that needs to be put into place to manage the transportation end to end doesn't exist, right? And that's what needs to be placed, like Minesh Patel was just saying.
But why is that happening? Don't they have enough funds? I know for a fact that Edison is paying so much, the tax money is going to them. What is going on?
So, I mean, I'll say one point, and Minesh, maybe you can say another point. But one of the things is, I think there's a couple of factors to look at this, right? One of the pieces that Minesh brought up was the bidding contract process, right? Well, there's no formal governance of RFP intake that BOE does, right? Normally, I work in a corporate world. Minesh has worked in a corporate world. When someone comes to offer their services, in order for us to see which is truly the best one, is one, we need to see all of our options, right? Which is the request for proposal process, RFP process. Based on that, we have to understand what are the different variety of services, what are the different pricing options. That governed process doesn't exist. And the second piece is looking into our over 300, with the point which you mentioned was looking into our over $300 million budget is not being looked at properly. Let me give you an example. Every year when a BOE budget is provided, there's always a 2% cap rate, which is almost like a cushion room, which you can say. 2% is what you can go over than the budget what's given to you. So if you're provided, let's see, round figure, right? 300 million. 2% of that is $6 million. 6 million, your eyes just shot up, is a lot of money, right?
That is a lot.
With that, you can add, I don't know, maybe a new wing for our high school, a new gym, maybe some equipment for all the different clubs, for bands,
Buy
right?
buses.
You can buy buses. So there's a lot of things that you can do, and I think needs to be further tapped into, but this kind of expertise doesn't exist right now,
But
right?
they are cutting the curriculum.
Since you said the word curriculum, I will tell you this. 4 years ago, they decided they want to cut physics labs. They cut it for a short time. Well, it's been 4 years. That's not a short time. That's a long time. Last year, they just cut biology labs. Now, the teachers, you go back and look at the records. There were more than 20 teachers who came and says, we will manage. And still the board cut it.
Why?
Why? Because they wanted to put KG kindergarten system in there, and they needed space. And all they say is they don't have enough teachers. If you look at our last few meetings, there's so many teachers are leaving Edison Township. And the reason they're leaving is this frustration. You keep on cutting and don't add. Remember, we are the parents. But from 8 or 9 to 4, those are not our kids, they're teachers' kids. Those teachers treat them like their own kids.
True.
And when their things are cut, you could see the teachers crying on a podium saying, we won that biology class. And then they still cut it. Now you could see the emotional there between the teacher and the kids. That the teacher was there at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night to talk about that we won those classes. There was the other message they did was music, art, and some of the other classes. Now they're doing 6 months. So 6 months you will learn music, 6 months you will learn art.
Oh.
How are you going to remember what you learn in art or what you learn in the music? And the teachers were crying for that, saying, don't do that. The alternate system of A and B is right now. The way it is, the one day you do music, one day art is much better. Township Board of Education is going a different route right now, and we need to bring it back where it needs to be on a correct path.
Of course. Minesh, you claim that the board spends over 300 plus millions and some of the programs are neglected for years. Where is the taxpayers' money going and what are these neglected programs?
First of all, they're using $350 million. They're spending it without having bids. We just recently found out about a few weeks back in the meeting that they were paying almost $45,000 more to the agent who was doing the insurance for the township, Board of Education of Edison Township. Every meeting you see, there's a one line item that goes after every contract that says contract given without bids.
Oh.
And nobody has asked what is the cost of it. They just give it. And if you just look at those numbers and you ask somebody who are in that, just like HVAC, I was talking to one of my own friend who is in Edison, has his own company in Edison, and I asked him, can you look at this? And he goes, it's overpaid, okay, in millions of dollars.
Wow.
Company we are hiring is not from Edison. We are hiring from outside of the Edison. South Brunswick, North Brunswick, East Brunswick, Parsippany. When the company comes from outside, tab is on us for travel charge.
Oh.
Okay, so these money can be saved. The insurance money that they just did, it's $500,000 a year. That can be used towards kids. Our athletic department, our music. Imagine $450,000 was given this year from the budget for my fight that I put up 1 year. 1 year fight, every meeting. The first question is, where is my money for my two schools? J.P. Stevens High School needed almost $240,000 in equipment. They have a tuba. Tuba is 25 years old. That's the last time J.P. Stevens purchased tuba. Same thing, Edison High School. They have, I didn't bring the list with me. If I knew this question was coming up, I would have bought it. But almost like 12 to 18 items that was never purchased in the last 15 to 20 years. All they did is put a screw, put a knob, put a pack, and used it. And believe me, our directors, we have Dina Kola in J.P. Stevens, and who I'm fond of because I always worked with him for the last 10 years. My two daughters, who became doctors out of J.P. Stevens, used the music program. And my son, who's becoming a doctor, also was a trumpet player in the music program.
Wonderful.
And he was so sharp that Mr. Dina Kola could stand on one and will tell you, Akash made a mistake, or that person made a mistake. And the kid would come down after the program and say, Dean, my second pin locked up. I'm sorry. This is how sharp our directors are. But if you don't give them an equipment, they can't do the job.
Minesh, what is your view on the sex education curriculum that Governor Murphy put forth earlier this year? Do you support comprehensive sexual education, including LGBTQ specific health information in public schools, kindergarten through high school? Why or why not?
I agree on some point, some I don't. I think the sex education should not start before 8th grade. Okay? Because that's the right age of puberty where if you do anything earlier, the kid's gonna experiment. I'll give you one example of that is when you do things in the school and they were teaching about fire. And this was in the 4th grade. My son comes home and starts a fire. He takes the toilet paper and started in the bathroom. When I asked him, why'd you do it? Well, my teacher didn't allow me to do it there, so I want to learn how does it happen. Experiment. The kids, if you do it younger age, kids does not know what they're doing. So I think they should opt out a little. If parents thinks, it's okay, they should do it. Otherwise, let it go to 7th or 8th grade. 7th and 8th grade is a perfect age to teach them about sex education.
That's a great answer. Okay.
Food.
Minesh, talk about the appointment of food vendors. Shouldn't you include healthy, freshly cooked vegetarian and vegan meals in your menus?
We should allow it. A lot of our parents are vegan in Edison Township. A lot are pure vegetarian.
Right.
One of the example I'll give you is some of the trips I used to chaperone. 50% or more are vegan. I mean, it's vegetarians.
Vegetarian.
Out of that, 10% is vegan. But they was never available. They always ordered meat, food, or whatever it's available. And the kids used to just eat either chips or in soda or juice. And that's not enough for them to survive on that day. We should allow vegetarian food freshly cooked there. There are vendors who provide that. We have it right now. There are a few, but we should go into more detailed because right now it's running through only one vendor, and they have not changed vendor for architect work.
Wow.
They have not changed a vendor for food for a long time. They don't change vendor. These are the same repeat vendors going in.
Shouldn't there be like yearly bids for all these?
It should be, but it's not. It's always going without bids. And if you do that, I'm sure we'll be able to save a lot more money to provide to the kids or for their programs.
So before we conclude this interview, why don't you tell our audience in Edison why they should come out and vote for you guys?
Number one, we are the change. We know what problems are in township because we attend meetings. We've been a parent. I have been a parent of grandparents and other organizations in school. When I go there, I see the problem. People know me from Indian community as well as the school community. And they do call up and say, we have this problem. Before the meeting day, I probably have 20, 30 questions come up on my WhatsApp and my text messages. We know what issues are. We know how to solve it. And we need a team who will work for the students. Keep our kids in mind first. Then our teachers. Teachers are frustrated. They need help from people like me, people like Yash, and the team that we could put together after the election that's in there. There are parents are saying right now, you need our help, we'll come to some of these meetings. I think they should do side meetings in the school where all parents can come and give opinions. So we know what our problems are and solve it. We need to solve it, not do it with bull by horn the way they're doing it right now. It needs to be solved with the community and it can be solved quicker. Do a partnership with businesses, partnership with outside world where they can fund you instead of going to taxpayer every year, and they are frustrated too. We are giving you $350 million and still the problems are not solved. We are here to solve the problems. Thank you very much.
Yash, you want to add to that?
Yeah, a few points I'll just add on. As Minesh said that, we're here to take the Board of Education forward. We don't want to sit here and keep talking about the same problems that have been going on for the last 5 to 10 years. We want to make sure that the taxpayer hard-earned money is doing the right thing for our students, our teachers, our Board of Education. And more importantly, we are bringing in fresh thinking. We're all independent thinkers here. We're not backed by any outside influences. We are all independent community leaders and members here, and we work for our community. That's what's different with us compared to anyone else that says anything. That's why Column 4 is so united amongst themselves, but also the community, because our focus is simple. It's for our students and our teachers, and that's what we are working. That's what we have been working hard for even before we got into BOE. And Now, column 4 is trying to work hard to get a seat at the table so we can actually make a difference for the community. So that's what we would like to remind all of our viewers, and would like to remind you all to go out and please participate in early voting. Early voting, you can go to your nearby polling locations. You can also do vote by mail, which is ballots that come in your mail. And you can also do voting on election day. Election day this year is on November 8th. Polls will open from 6 a.m. all the way up until 8 p.m. If you have questions on where the pollings will be, you can reach out to us, or you can reach out to the county clerk's office, who can better guide you. But nonetheless, for all Edison viewers and those who can vote, please remember to go out and vote column 4, your students, teachers' first column, and that's column number 4. Thank you.
We pray that we are able to create a better social and emotional learning environment for our kids and choose the right candidates for Edison Educational Board that will help us to do just that. Thank you, Minesh and Yash, for talking to me.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.